слышал взрыв. Еще прилетел один. Не стреляют.
When Ukrainian Unmanned Systems Forces Commander Magyar said, "The pre-winter nights in Russia have lit up with a new palette. Get used to it. There's more to come. We knew what is going to happen." And here it is. Ukrainian strike drones carried out a large-scale attack on the Shatura State District power plant in the Moscow region, starting a major fire. According to preliminary information, around 4 to 5 drones hit the plant's oil-filled power transformers on the morning of November 23, 2025. These transformers are responsible for transferring the station's generated electricity into the unified power grid. Meanwhile, Russia's Ministry of Defense claimed that 2 drones had been destroyed in the Moscow region. However, this did not prevent the other UAVs from reaching their target. The Shatura power plant is one of the largest in the Moscow region. It is located approximately 120 kilometers east of Moscow. The plant's installed electric capacity is 1,500 megawatts, and its heat output is about 344 gigacalories per hour, making it a key energy hub for the Moscow region. The owning company emphasizes that it is the most powerful power plant in the region. 7 units provide power generation. The steam turbine section includes 3 200-megawatt units, 2 210-megawatt units, and 1 80-megawatt cogeneration unit. Additionally, since 2010, the plant has operated a 400-megawatt combined cycle unit, CCGT 400, based on a General Electric 9FA gas turbine. This is the most efficient unit at the plant, with an efficiency of about 56%, which is significantly higher than that of conventional steam power units. Meanwhile, if this gas turbine were to be damaged, replacing it would be extremely difficult or even impossible due to U.S. sanctions that prohibit the supply of such equipment to Russia. Militarny previously reported that on November 19, 2025, strike drones with powerful warheads hit a local power plant in the Ryazan region. Yuri Sizov from the Main Directorate of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation, GRU, Unit Number 92,154, also known as the 322nd Special Training Center, or Senyezh, and Yevgeny Ivanov, who had previously smuggled infiltrators across the Ukrainian border, are responsible for the recent sabotage on Poland's railway. This follows from an analysis of the names of the suspects and their Russian handler that the Polish outlet Onet revealed and Militarny examined. Yuri Sizov and Yevgeny Ivanov attempted to execute a sabotage attack on a drone manufacturing facility in Lviv. And later, Sizov tried to organize 3 terrorist attacks in Ukrainian shopping malls. Yuri Sizov was the officer who supervised Alexander Kononov and Yevgeny Ivanov, Ukrainian citizens who acted on Russia's orders and entered Poland from Belarus, where they had fled after carrying out a sabotage operation. According to Onet, Yevgeny Ivanov and Alexander Kononov entered the country from Belarus using forged passports. They stayed in Poland for only a few hours, and their assistants, who had already been detained there, handled the remaining tasks. Ivanov and Kononov left Polish territory through the Tiraspol border crossing before the Russian saboteurs were identified by law enforcement. On Wednesday, the Polish prosecutor's office charged both of them with carrying out sabotage-related terrorist acts on behalf of the Russian Federation. They face up to life imprisonment. It is known that Yevgeny Ivanov lived in the town of Pisochin in the Kharkiv region until 2015, after which he moved to Belgorod, Russia, where he engaged in the illegal smuggling of people across the Ukrainian border. At the end of December 2023, Ivanov, acting on orders from his Russian handler, introduced his acquaintance Borisenko, who had recently left a defense enterprise, to Sizov. Sizov offered to smuggle gifts into the enterprise for a $40,000 reward. A few days later, a stranger handed Borisenko a package on the street. A large bag containing 4 packages labeled "Our Juice." Instead of juice, the packages contained explosives. On February 1st, 2024, using a magnetic key he still had from his former job, Borisenko entered the enterprise and left a backpack in the locker room with 2 packages of juice. A timer was set on the explosives to detonate at 4 a.m. on February 3rd. After placing the explosives, he even went into the workshop, where he met former colleagues, drank tea, ate cake, and talked about everyday matters before leaving. The following evening, Borisenko learned by phone from a former colleague that the backpack with explosives had been discovered at the Enterprise. He then realized that attempting to deliver the gifts a second time would not be possible. On February 3rd, Borisenko was detained and agreed to cooperate with law enforcement to expose the accomplices. The fact of the perpetrator's detention was concealed from the handlers, and on February 18th, a staged placement of explosives and a simulated explosion and fire at the factory were conducted. For this, authorities used 70 car tires, 50 liters of gasoline, 2 bags of sawdust, 6 bales of hay, 100 liters of transformer oil, 8 smoke grenades, and 7 flashbang grenades. Under the SSU's supervision, Borisenko agreed that Sizov and Ivanov would evacuate them to Russia. At the Kharkiv railway station, a man and a woman met them by car and drove them toward the border. The final destination of the trip was the village of Sotnitsky Kozachok in the Zolokiv district of the Kharkiv region, located at the border between Ukraine and Russia. There, another person was supposed to transfer them across the border. However, while leaving Kharkiv, the car was involved in an accident, and the front wheels were damaged. As a result, Borisenko and his companion immediately abandoned the vehicle and walked toward the central streets of Kharkiv. Subsequently, Sizov organized the preparation of terrorist attacks for May 9, 2024, in 3 Leroy Merlin home improvement hypermarkets in Kiev, owned by the French company. To execute this plan, the Russians involved the same Borisenko, who was already acting under the control of Ukrainian law enforcement. For the combined offenses, Sizov was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Ivanov received a 15-year prison sentence with the confiscation of all property.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comments section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.